Hey guys, Ryan the Nerd here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Skeksis Emperor, also known as Skekso, plush. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with my channel in a while, I have made two Skeksis plushies before, and I've already done reviews of them, and in a pretty short amount of time, I did Skektek, Chamberlain, and now we have Skekso, the Emperor here. But before we actually get in-depth into the actual review of this plushie right here, I'm just going to come out and just say a couple of things. Number one, this is where I'm going to leave off for making Skeksis plushies right now. I know a lot of people are probably going to be saying, oh, keep going, keep making more. We'd love to see, you know, the entire Skeksis, like the entire cast of Dark Crystal in plushie form and everything like that. And I would love to actually do that. But for right now, I'm going to leave it off at Skekso right now. Because the couple of weeks of me making plushies and just doing reviews of like these plushies from a series on Netflix that many people haven't even heard about. And the only people that do hear about it is like actual fans of the Dark Crystal. And I feel like if I keep making more of them and just keep doing reviews just in a row, it will just get repetitive over time. But for right now, this is where I'm going to leave off. I will be making more of them in the future. But I won't be doing actual, you know, individual reviews of them. I'm probably going to do like a plush collection video at some point. But for right now, I'm going to stop making Skeksis plushies for now. Anyway, because I want to do other stuff on the channel right now. So this is where I'm going to leave off for making Skeksis plushies right now. So enough rambling. Let's actually look into the actual, plushie here. So here is Skekso, the Emperor, and he made his debut in the original Dark Crystal film, but he only had like less than a minute of screen time because he was in bed dying pretty much. But when the series came around, everybody was really excited to see the Emperor in action, and wow, he's probably one of my favorite Skeksis other than Chamberlain. Chamberlain takes, you know, the crown of my favorite Skeksis, and then Skektek and probably Skekso over here. So I basically just made three of my favorite characters from the show, and it's because why not? But yeah, this is probably one of the most, other than, Chamberlain, I think that this guy has a lot more detail, on him than Chamberlain, because there's just so many different, design features that he has, on him than Chamberlain doesn't. Chamberlain just has a lot of robes and stuff like that, where Skekso has a lot of, like, you know, like actual, like, knickknacks and, like, jewelry and stuff like that on him, and just a really, really cool overall design, and I really wanted to encapsulate that, into plushie form here. So yeah, he is probably the actual, like, the tallest of my Skeksis so far because of the little scythe thing that he has on the top of his head here. But other than that, he's pretty much in scale with Skektek and Chamberlain, for anybody who cares. But let's take a look at the actual details here. So you'll probably notice this because of the light and everything. This is actually his necklace. He actually does have a necklace in the actual show. And like the other two, I did use the Weta statue as a reference point. But for some reason, though, the Weta statue is less, I would say, less accurate to the actual show's puppet. Because the necklace here in the actual show is more silver, but on the Weta statue, it's more like, kind of tan-ish. And I didn't want to use tan because it would just be a little bit too distracting. And I wanted to go off, like, you know, what he actually looked like in the actual show. But just, like, the bigger details, like the head, and the actual, like, little, I don't really know what to call this section. I used the Weta statue as a reference, but other than that, I used the show as, like, where I can actually see, you know, colors and everything like that for the actual, for details and everything like that. So coming to the necklace here, and I was going to use, because he does have gems on his necklace, and I was going to use, like, felt and everything like that, but I realized that it would look way too weird, so I just dug around in my little, art closet, pretty much my craft closet, and I just searched around for any beads I could find that look remotely similar to the gems that he had, on his necklace here. So I just used these little beads here. So we got some silver beads. We got the yellow beads here. They're not as bright as these beads are in the show because I can't find the exact bead that they actually used, for the necklace. So, but this is what I have to work with here, and it actually it actually turned out pretty well. It's glued onto a piece of string here that loops all the way around to his around here. And I did glue, he doesn't have this in the show, but you can't really see it. There's a piece of felt covering over where the string attaches pretty much, and I just glued it over so it doesn't it moves, so it gives like an actual kind of gravity effect, but it also just keeps it in place so it doesn't move over time. And you're probably noticing these really distracting red strings everywhere in the actual show around his collar. He has a lot of different red string details just coming off of him. But I just used a little bit of yarn, and I cut some pieces off, glued it into the actual collar here, which you can see here if I kind of lift it up. And I just glued it in, and then I just unraveled it so it kind of looks like the kind of stringy, wavy effect that he has on the collar there. And then you can see also these little weird things on his collar as well. Very, very nice. I used the Weta statue as a reference point because they're kind of pinky purplish in there. And then you can also see kind of these little teeth things around in the front of his collar there, so you can see that. Coming over to the head here, very, very nice. I really do like how I did the head here. And his head has kind of more colors on him, just like Chamberlain, where his main head color is more purplish. But then, you know, you got some other colors on there. So, on the Weta statue and also in the show, it's a little bit more gray-ish, around the eyes, and, coming down, on the upper head of his head there, it's a little bit more gray. And then on the bottom jaw is a lot more purple. And then you can see his, little, beak here. Well, it's not really a beak, it's just a, covering for his, beak, because when he was experimenting with the darkening, his beak just kind of decomposed, so he just covers his deformed face with this kind of metal beak to simulate that. And it does have some really wacky lines on it, but I couldn't implement that into plushie form here because the felt would be a little bit too thick on it, and it would just look way too cluttered, and it wouldn't look that nice. But you can see the little scythe up here, very, very nice. And then you can see his hood, which is just a sock, and I just glued the head into that, and then you can see his neck there. So coming to the front here yet again, on the show and on the Weta statue, he has a lot more designs, a lot more lines coming through on the chest here, but I couldn't implement that into plushie form yet again, just like the beak here. The felt would have looked way too cluttered on here, and it just wouldn't look that nice. So I'm gonna try to find way thinner felt so I can get those really small details and everything like that for other future plushies, especially with the Skeksis and everything like that, when I actually decide to make the entire Skeksis cast, I guess. So coming to the arms here, since he has less robes on him on his arms there, so he actually has actual arms so that you can actually see there, and they can actually bend and everything. So coming to the side here, you can see his arms there, and then you can also see kind of the kind of God, I don't know what those called, bracelets, I guess. Well, they're not really bracelets because they're not on his wrist, but he just has some rings going around on his arms there. But I could only add 2 here. He does have 3 up in this section right here, but I couldn't implement that because, yet again, thick felt and everything like that, so I had to get away with what I had. But then you can see the kind of the not really robe on his arm there, but it is just kind of cloth pretty much that just kind of droops down, and just he tied it to his wrist and then also onto his actual body there. So you can see that, and then you can also see some more brown robes coming down there as well. And then you can see his hand here, and his hands are a lot more bigger than Chamberlain and Skektek's hands. Is because he actually has fingerless gloves, which I kind of find really cool and also kind of weird. But he has fingerless gloves. And I wanted to actually make his, you know, because I didn't have colored, this kind of colored pipe cleaner for his fingers there. So I just actually had to use my old technique of wrapping felt around pipe cleaners to get the finger look. So it made his hands a lot more bigger than his actual, his other plushie counterparts, his other plushie Skeksis. Now he kind of looks like he has yaoi hands. Don't look up yaoi hands, by the way. You'll be scarred for life. But yeah, he kind of has like really big hands. And you can also bend them as well, so you can see the fingers in there as well. And he also does have, you know, pipe cleaner in his arms there, so you can bend them and everything like that. So, and he does have a pipe cleaner in his actual neck there. And his neck is actually more structural sounding. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just a lot more better than Chamberlain or Skektek's, because they had a lot more droopiness to their necks because how the amount of weight that the pipe cleaner and the head had. But for him, he actually has a lot more. His neck. Since he is an emperor after all, he can't have his head hanging low. He's gotta be tall, and he's gotta be proud, chin up, and be very proud to be the emperor. So that's why his head is totally, you know, standing up straight and everything like that. So he's got a pipe cleaner in his neck, very awesome. And coming to the other side, he has a less amount of brown robes coming down, and then you can also see some more robes in the front section here. I forgot to mention that. You can see that as well. So it's got brown, and then it's also got red there, just like on the Weta statue. Coming back here, you can see more robes here. Just like Chamberlain, I used the sock as more of a basis for the robe, and then I just added some felt to make some more layers of robe and everything like that. And then if you just lift this up over here, then you can see a piece of sock here with, you know, some other felt attached to it. And then you can see this kind of, not really carapace, but just this entire section on the back. And you can see the designs on there, and then you can see what this is. It kind of looks like a Skeksis on the little back side of him here. And then there is actually green on this, I'm going to call it not really a carapace, but just this entire section on the back here. There is actually a bit of green on there. And I didn't know how I was going to like do that, because I didn't want to add green on here, even though that I wanted to be as accurate to the Weta statue and as the show as possible. I just didn't want to add green because it just would have been way too distracting, because the Skeksis have a lot of unnatural colors to their overall design. You know, you got a lot of purple, a lot of reds, you got a lot of browns, grays, and everything like that, and just very unnatural looking colors. But for the Emperor, mostly his color palette is just, you know, purple and black and gray, and pretty much. So adding this green would have been a little bit too distracting, but it actually doesn't look that bad as I thought it was going to be. And if you're wondering what these things are, these are his other arms there. Skeksis actually have 4 arms, but they're just hidden underneath all their layers and layers of robes. But for the Emperor here, he's actually got like a little section over here where his actual secondary arms actually come out, so they can actually kind of, I'm guessing, kind of like rest. So that's why he probably doesn't have as much robes as the others do, probably because he wants to be, you know, a lot more unique looking, and also because he's the Emperor and he's got to look a lot more presentable. But you can also see his arms there, which actually are gripping onto the actual section here. So then you can see the interior there, and then you can see the little cushion that they're coming through and everything like that. So you can see that. But they are pipe cleaners, so you can move them and you can bend them and everything like that. But since they are just in there, they're just going to stay onto and gripping on the actual carapace section here, I'm guessing. I don't really know. But that's for, he's very limited in what he has on him, even though that he does have a lot of different stuff with him. You know, you got the necklace and you got like the arms and everything like that. But overall, he's very simplistic in his plushy form here. But no emperor. He says he is the Emperor. He needs to have his staff. And I actually did make his staff. And that took way too long to come into the segue, but whatever, I don't care. So here is his scepter, right here. So this is actually based on the actual first movie scepter design instead of the show design, because I wanted to be, because I actually do like the scepter's design in the first movie. So I used the actual prop replica from, I can't remember, something collectibles, I can't really remember, but they made a replica of the actual scepter, so I used that as a basis for the actual scepter design. But where this scepter is actually a lot more different than the show is that there's actually green gems, and it doesn't have this entire section on the back here. It doesn't have, like, the little tuft of hair coming down here. It doesn't have these bits here. It's mostly just flat at the bottom with, like, little green gems, and it doesn't have as much gems than the first movie design, which I don't really get, which is because, I don't really know. Something probably happened to the staff later on, which we probably won't know because Netflix canceled it for another season of Big Mouth, so we probably won't even know why the staff even changed in the first place. But you can see the gems there, which I just used, you know, the same kind of beads that I used for the necklace there. And this is totally not a pencil. This is clearly an actual, like, scepter here. There's no pencil. I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy if you think that there's a pencil just, you know, with pipe cleaners and felt and beads glued onto it. You're out of your mind if you think that. But you can see some more gems right here. And then you can see some of these little claws coming down here, and same going to the front here. Coming up here, you can see the more beads here. Got some silver, you got some red, and I know that the gems on the actual scepter are a lot more bright red, instead of like kind of this color right over here. But this is the only beads that I had that was even remotely close to what I could find for red. So I just had to use these, and then you could also see the kind of crystal, which is not actually a crystal shape, it's more like a ball shape, so he's like a fortune teller then. And then you can see the kind of gems up here for like kind of looking like eyes, and then you can see the beak and everything like that for the scepter. And also the scepter, this is a very important detail for the scepter. It does have a drawn-on smiley face. I don't know if you noticed that, but you're gonna have to, there's a couple of scenes in the first movie where you can actually see the smiley face on the actual scepter. So this is also a clearly non-intentional feature there. So this is, yeah, but this is the scepter, and he can grip it because with the pipe cleaner fingers and everything like that. So he can grip that. And then he can be, you know, commanding the Skeksis and training Gelfling for essence and everything like that. So, no Emperor is complete without his scepter, and I delivered on that. But anyway, I really do like how this guy turned out in plushy form here. There's not much to say about him, other than, you know, he's the Emperor and, you know, the details and everything like that. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't care what you do, because I know what time it is. So, bye, guys.